Boeing Starliner is coming back without a crew on September 6th. Apple plans to drop USB-A ports with the M4 Mac Mini. And an Arrival electric van prototype went up for sale on eBay, as the sad story of the failed electric delivery van maker just got a little bit sadder. It's Monday, September 2nd, and this is Engadget News. The Starliner is scheduled to undock from the International Space Station and make its way back to Earth September 6th. If the weather cooperates and the spacecraft leaves the ISS as planned, it will be landing at White Sands Space Harbor in New Mexico with the help of parachutes to slow its descent and inflated airbags on September 7th. While the ground teams at Starliner Mission Control in Houston and at Boeing Mission Control Center in Florida can control the spacecraft remotely if needed, it will be an uncrewed, fully autonomous flight for the Starliner. NASA recently announced that Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, the astronauts that headed to the ISS aboard the Starliner for its first crewed flight, will be coming home on a SpaceX Crew Dragon instead. Wilmore and Williams flew to the ISS in June, and they were only supposed to spend a little more than a week on the orbiting laboratory. On the way there, though, 5 of the spacecraft's maneuvering thrusters failed, and its helium leak problem that previously caused its launch to be pushed back had worsened. Engineers on the ground conducted tests with help from the astronauts on the ISS to determine whether the Starliner was safe for the crew to ride back to Earth. In the end, NASA decided that it's safer for Wilmore and Williams to come home on a SpaceX vehicle because there was too much uncertainty around the Starliner's thrusters. The space agency will cover Starliner's return live on NASA Plus, the NASA app, and its website. As for the SpaceX Crew 9 mission that's replacing the Boeing's vehicle on the ISS, it's scheduled to launch no earlier than September 24th. Instead of flying with 4 astronauts as planned, it will fly with 2 to leave 2 seats empty for its return flight with Wilmore and Williams in February of next year. Apple's M4 Mac Mini will boast a ton of ports, but not a single one of them will be USB-A. That's according to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. In the Power On newsletter, Gurman reports that Apple is ditching USB-A ports with the upcoming Mac Mini. The company is working on a standard and Pro version of the computer, and while it won't have USB-A, the Mac Mini with the M4 Pro chip will have 5 USB-C ports, an Ethernet port, HDMI, and a headphone jack, according to Gurman. The new Mac Mini is also expected to have an internal power supply. Gurman reports that the standard and Pro versions will begin shipping to warehouses in September and October. Apple is also reportedly working on a cheaper pared-down version of its Magic Keyboard that's slated to launch by the middle of next year. The company introduced a new Magic Keyboard for iPad Pro this spring, and Gurman indicates it's now turning its attention to the non-Pro devices. He writes that the upcoming accessory will be a low-end version that may be designed for an entry-level iPad or the new iPad Airs. You can own a piece of electric vehicle history from one of the saddest stories in the industry to date. The British electric van maker Arrival was once valued in the billions and had a sweet deal to turn UPS's fleet of iconic brown vans into electric vehicles. Within a couple of years, Arrival's warehouse became an empty shell, and its sleek electric vehicles and remaining parts were sold off to whoever could afford the highest bid. Now, one of the first Arrival prototypes sold at auction after the company's downfall has found its way to eBay. The seller says they worked for Arrival before the company went under earlier this year, writing in the description that the Arrival pre-production van is the only known running and fully operational Arrival Gamma van available, and was purchased in June from Arrival's liquidation auction for an undisclosed sum. The Arrival Gamma van appears to be in good working order. It has sliding electric doors and a touchscreen interface on the dashboard. The shelving is still intact, and the owner suggests it could be used as a camper van. The highest bid as of Friday is £5,600, or approximately $7,368. Arrival aimed to do for delivery vehicles what the Tesla Model S did for automobiles. The company was founded back in 2015. They built 25 vans in 2021 for testing. Arrival committed to building a fleet of 10,000 vehicles for UPS to deliver packages across the U.S. and Europe. The company's coffers dwindled to $205 million by the end of January of 2023. Its focus was shortened to just the U.S. delivery market, and then plans were scrapped to expand its electric vehicle fleet to buses and cars for rideshare services. The company continued making cutbacks until Arrival finally closed up shop the following year. Arrival's attempt to make delivery vehicles more energy efficient was a noble idea, and it wasn't the only company to do so. Amazon tapped electric van maker Rivian to build 100,000 vehicles for its delivery fleet by 2030. Ford has also designed and released a fully electric e-transit van for consumers and businesses like Walmart. Thanks for listening. There's more to these stories and additional articles at Engadget.com. This episode featured journalism from weekend editor Cheyenne McDonald and contributors Mariella Moon and Danny Gallagher, and was voiced and produced by me, Steve White, from the studios of Spoken Layer. Enjoy your day, and I'll be back tomorrow with more tech news from Engadget.